These are our headlines. The Indian stock market reverses early gains, closing eventually in the red and near the day's low. The Nifty slipping by 0.12%, ending below the 25,000 mark, while the 30-share Sensex dropped over 160 points, closing below the 82,000 mark. Adani Enterprises, the flagship company of billionaire Gautam Adani, is reportedly in discussions with several institutional investors for a substantial $2 billion qualified institutional placement or QIP. Among those engaged in talks are Gulf-based sovereign wealth funds, including the Abu Dhabi Investment Authority and the Qatar Investment Authority, as well as Rajiv Jain's GQG partners. The planned share sale is expected to be launched before the end of this month, signaling a significant move in Adani's ongoing efforts to strengthen its capital base and expand its operations. Investors are keenly watching Hyundai Motor India's upcoming initial public offering or IPO, especially after the company announces its price band today. The IPO is set to open for subscription on the 15th of October and will close on the 17th. However, a notable trend in the grey market has emerged as the company's grey market premium has experienced a sharp decline. After hovering around 570 rupees in the last week of September, the GMP dropped to 360 rupees last week and continues to slide this week, falling below 200 rupees as well. This dramatic decline represents a staggering drop of nearly 72% from its previous highs. Currently, the grey market price is at 147 rupees. If the stock reaches the upper price band of 1,960, it could still offer modest gains of about 7% for investors. The government is set to launch a new and improved Production Link Incentive Scheme or PLI for the drone sector, focusing on making implementation and documentation more efficient. Civil Aviation Secretary announced this development, stating that the government aims to advance the next phase of support for the drone industry. Initial PLI schemes for drones, which began in 2021 with a budget of 120 crore rupees for 3 years, has now concluded. With this new initiative, the government aims to bolster growth and innovation in the rapidly evolving drone market. RBI's Monetary Policy Committee keeps the repo rate or the key lending rate steady at 6.5% for the 10th consecutive meeting. In a significant shift, however, the Monetary Policy Committee has unanimously changed its stance from withdrawal of accommodation to neutral. This change signals the central bank's commitment to striking a balance between controlling inflation and supporting economic growth. And we begin this edition of In Your Interest with what's happening and what's going wrong at Ola Electric. Did Ola mislead consumers about its bikes with misleading advertisements? Let's take a look. Ola Electric, the prominent electric two-wheeler manufacturer, is now facing a show cause notice from the Central Consumer Protection Authority or CCPA over alleged violations of consumer rights, misleading advertisements and unfair trade practices. The company led by Bhavish Aggarwal has indicated that the notice will not affect its financial or operational activities, nor does it entail any other kind of fines. The CCPA has granted Ola Electric 15 days to respond to all the allegations, and the scrutiny comes amidst a rising number of customer complaints concerning after-sales service, software glitches and hardware issues with Ola's e-scooters. Now, with the company's challenges, its market capitalization has fallen below the $5 billion mark for the first time since its stock market debut, and we are asking what is going to be the future of Ola Electric and Ola scooters. We have Dr. Srinath Sridharan joining us now live on the broadcast. Thank you, Srinath, for taking time out to be with us. Simple question. We wouldn't have been talking about this if that Twitter spat between Bhavish Aggarwal and Kunal Kamra blew up the way it did, and it smacked of arrogance, to put it simply. Other people have called it other names as well, as from Bhavish Aggarwal's end. But clearly, this time around, this show cause notice makes matters more serious.
Yeah, Krishna, I mean, I think I wouldn't allude an adjective to it, but just poor behavior of leader of a listed entity. I mean, it's not just your money or that's riding the wave, but it is millions of retail investors' money is also riding the wave. And this is where it smacks of, I think, a lesson for Indian startups. You can be fine if you're a private listed, unlisted entity and do however your behavior is. But when it comes to listed entity, how do you need to change the course of and show maturity and tact? I mean, at least in public spat. We are not the US. I think you also saw a lot of tweets comparing the founder to Elon Musk and so on and so forth. It might be very, let's say, heroic welcome for one segment of the narrative. What about those thousands who have been complaining about their bikes not getting serviced and all of those? So coming to the show cause notice, I really don't know, Krishna, I mean, how much of teeth some of these entities, I mean, the regulatory framework has, and what is going to happen? I mean, what is the biggest thing? The purpose of existence of an entity and the valuation derives from consumers, the existence of consumers and their interest in the product. And if the company is not taking that seriously, I think everything else is only gimmick. I mean, that is my worry. I mean, we are riding a big FOMO in the markets where you put, I mean, Krishna, I mean, I just was seeing the headlines where you spoke about Hyundai and others coming in for IPO. I think the market euphoria is so scary. You put even a PAN and call it as PAN Incorporated or Unlimited, people might just buy it as a listed stock. That's the worry that I have.
Yeah, but we're talking about it at a time when the Ola stock has taken a beating. You know, it's been building up over a period of time, you know, more than 20% down, below the $5 billion mark as we speak. And, you know, this is a stock that was meant to be a blockbuster success, and it was not until very long ago. Right now, the way the numbers are stacked up, Srinath, they are selling about 25,000 scooters in a month, and they're getting 80,000 complaints a month. That number makes absolutely no sense whatsoever.
See, that's true. And I think here is where I think for a listed entity, if they can actually put out how many complaints do they receive every month granularly. I mean, they do declare the shareholder complaints, but what about actual consumer complaints? So if the company, the listed entity actually puts it out, it will be far more assuring to say, how many are you solving? And not once has the company spoken about how are they going to solve for it. Because if you ask any question of the founder, I mean, I was seeing a lot of Twitter threads. The conversation seems to be almost saying that if you don't support this company, you're a bully lobby, you're anti-national. I mean, some of those, I think, false narratives. If there is a product and it's a defective product or a poor service, just respond, just get that fixed. I mean, I think that was the main one that's been pending for too long. And I think here's an opportunity for the competitors, the two-wheelers, others. Will they pick up this opportunity and ride the wave? Or will they play this lobby card? I mean, that's the larger question, Krishna. If the other competitors don't catch up and deliver their own products quickly so that the consumers can switch, then I think it's a missed opportunity and consumers are going to be stuck with poor products or poor choice all along.
Right. Interestingly, Srinath, if you take a look at the latest sales figures, you know, Ola's, you know, dominant market share has been halved nearly. And then you have Bajaj now taking the lead, is the number 2 player, has beaten even TVS. So it's already happening. It doesn't require new players to come in. Ola Electric could stop being the leader, in fact, stop being in the top 3 very quickly if this slide is not arrested. Bhavish Aggarwal has his task cut out at the stage, isn't it, Srinath?
Yeah, I think so. Absolutely. I mean, I think this is where he has to demonstrate maturity and leadership, saying that, yes, there are complaints, there are problems with the product, and I'm fixing it. I think if somebody from, I mean, this is where I wonder what would be the board of Ola Electric be doing. Do they really have the gumption to advise a high-profile founder of how he should behave in public? Because it's also hurting the sentiments about the company. And I think that is where it's a tricky situation. A high-profile celebrity CEO, founder CEO, will an independent director actually go and say, hey, chill, just focus on solving the problem, not solving or personifying it on Twitter or social media? I doubt
that. We will leave it at that. And we will have to keep our eyes peeled to see what happens next with Ola Electric. But for now, we'll leave it at that. It's time for a short breather here on the show. We'll be back with lots more on the other side. Keep watching in your interest on News9 Live.
Let yourself flow with the turn of each tide.
She wins you, sweeten your ride.
Maharashtra,
Maharashtra, it's a hit.
Maharashtra Tourism.
जानना है तो देखिए, समझना है तो सुनिए, सीखना है तो पूछिए, और कमाना है तो खरीदिए। जानकारी, सलाह और निवेश सब एक ही सुपर ऐप पर। पैसे का सवाल है तो जवाब है Money9। आजादी पैसे की, अभी डाउनलोड करें।
It's said that out of 7 diamonds across the world, 5 are cut and polished in India.
Don't forget, US is the largest consumer of polished diamonds and the diamond jewelry, and that has taken a big beating for multiple reasons, but largely because of the consumer spending going down on these items, and that's essentially what has hit the diamond industry.
We are at a brim where you see not just one but multiple very strong global brands coming out of India, and we will make a global mark, and I'm convinced about that.
This and more. Streaming on News9 plus news is now content. Subscribe and get free vouchers.
You are watching In Your Interest, and time now to put the focus on Boeing 737 aircraft. A new alert has come in, and what does this mean for yours and mine's safety? Let's take a look. India's aviation regulator, the Directorate General of Civil Aviation or DGCA, issued an advisory concerning Boeing 737 aircraft jets. So what was the advisory about, and what this means for airlines, passengers like you and me, and overall flight safety? Well, on the 7th of September, India's aviation regulator DGCA issued a safety recommendation for all Indian airlines operating the Boeing 737 jets, including major airlines like Air India Express, Akasa Air and SpiceJet. The advisory specifically addressed potential issues with the rudder control systems, particularly focusing on a component known as the Collins Aerospace SVO 730 Rudder Rollout Guidance Actuator. This came on the heels of safety concerns raised by the US National Transportation Safety Board following an incident involving a United Airlines flight. So why does this exactly matter? Well, the rudder is a crucial part of the aircraft that helps control its rotation about the vertical axis. Any problems here could lead to serious safety issues during flight operations. In fact, after an investigation into an incident on that United Airlines pilot's flight in February this year, it faced stuck rudder pedals while landing. America's Transportation Safety Board issued urgent recommendations regarding this very problem. Now, in response to these findings, the DGCA advised India's airline carriers to conduct mandatory safety risk assessments for their Boeing 737 in their fleets. They also stressed that all flight crews must be informed about the potential risks of a jammed rudder control system. This is essential for ensuring that pilots are prepared to handle such situations if they arise. Now, if you are wondering how this might affect your upcoming flights, well, Akasa Air thankfully has already assured passengers that there will be no disruptions to their services despite operating a fleet of 25 Boeing 737 MAX aircraft. Similarly, Air India Express and SpiceJet, with nearly 100 Boeing 737 planes combined, are also adapting to these recommendations. Additionally, the DGCA has temporarily halted all Category 3B operations, those conducted in low visibility, until further notice. This precautionary measure aims to ensure safety while the situation is being assessed. And lastly, it's worth noting that this advisory is part of a broader pattern of challenges that Boeing has faced recently, including various safety incidents and a strike affecting thousands of workers as well. With the stakes so high, both Boeing and American regulatory agencies are under pressure to resolve these issues swiftly to maintain air safety for one and all. What does this mean for flyers In India, we have Dr. Srinath Sridharan, policy researcher and corporate advisor. We also have Captain Amit Singh, founder, Safety Matters Foundation, joining us. Captain Amit, let me begin with you. Talk to us. We have about over 125 aircraft in India's fleet. What does this mean for Indian air carriers?
For Boeing specifically, this affects the Cat 3B capability, which means during low visibility, if you want to do an automatic landing, the system basically keeps the aircraft aligned with the runway centerline using this particular equipment, which was found faulty because of some moisture and problems with the bearings. So this is not an isolated issue. Boeing has now established, and the regulators have established, that there is a quality control issue with Boeing. Previously, there was a plug door issue wherein the door blew off. And I'll take you back to 1987 when the Boeing was recently introduced. They again had a rudder issue, after which there were a couple of accidents, crashes. People lost their lives, United Air, American Airlines. At critical flight stages, the rudder used to suddenly move, causing the aircraft to nosedive. And this was a design defect which Boeing knew about. It was later found out. And led to a lot of basically compensation payout and all. And there were other issues with Boeing of the 747, wherein the center tank blew off because of faulty wiring. So Boeing has been having these issues right from the beginning. So it is not just a technical issue, it is more of ethical and a safety culture issue, wherein quality has been compromised for commercial gains. So that is a bigger problem. So what next, we don't know, because India as such does not have the capability to individually evaluate an aircraft, even though we are the third biggest market globally. So we should be having that independent capability, trained personnel who can individually evaluate, like we do it in the Air Force test flights, etc. But still, the civil aviation is suffering from lack of institutions wherein we do not develop our own manpower and think tanks. We depend mainly on the FAA, which is the American regulator, and EASA, the European regulator. So we have seen in the past how FAA has been kind of hoodwinked by Boeing, and they assumed that everything was hunky-dory, but there were a number of issues. Even the 787, the batteries used to catch fire. Again, that was a quality issue. And in the US courts, they had some kind of an immunity from third-party manufacturing defects, but that was recently removed. So even though you may have outsourced these components to a third party, but still you as a manufacturer are responsible for the final product. So somebody has to take responsibility, and India has to develop their own capability to evaluate these issues so that we don't get more surprises.
Right. Dr. Srinath Sridharan, let me bring this to you. DGCA has issued this alert, this warning. One point clearly that Captain Amit Singh is making is that India should be able to have the capability to evaluate. But I'm viewing this from the point of view of airlines. Already demand is far outstripping supply. Not enough aircraft to cater to the people. At the same time, the pressure to keep prices in check as well. This is not really the best of situations for Indian air carriers, which is already India's aviation market, which has become largely a duopoly. Srinath, can you please unmute yourself?
Sorry. India is also one of the largest purchasers of aircrafts, and with so much of expectations on this, do we really have, let's say, the buyer's muscle, so to speak, what the captain spoke about? Do we have those muscle to say that geopolitical strength, especially, to say that these are contracts that we need reinforcements, liability issues, which are enforceable in court of law, not just in India, but if it is escalated to international courts. And I think that is something very, very important. The good part I see from the consumer point, if I read the advisory, is very simple. Cat 3 landing navigation, very hardly used by select airlines in India and in the winter season ahead. So if this can be fixed, let's say, at least by those airlines which are going to use that before December and January when we get fog and landing in the dark, I think we will need it there. But otherwise, luckily, most of our geographies don't have the fog issues or the snow issues much where these landing is needed. Two, I really don't think in a duopoly, you either have an American or a European manufacturer. India really doesn't have a say there. If a little cynical observation, if we see a large delegation from the US coming into India in the name of whatever you call it, saying we have bilateral conversations, you know that something is seriously wrong. And I think that's when India is putting pressure on. Until then, I don't think we have actually put pressure on. We have probably got financial returns out of buying those aircrafts, but not geopolitical yet.
Right, Captain Amit Singh, right now there are about 125 aircraft of Boeing that is in the aircraft fleet. More will come in. What can airlines do at this stage? What do you think will be going on with the airlines at this stage to mitigate the situation? Because all of them, Akasa, SpiceJet and Air and SpiceJet, have all assured passengers that there will be no disruption to their services.
Well, here the regulator has to come in and ensure that the fog season, especially December, January, February, goes smooth, and whatever component requires replacement or repair, that needs to be available. Since India is such a big market, so we need to have that capability of pressurizing Boeing. So either to shift kind of manufacture in India or put an assembly plant in India. Like we have in China has basically tied up with Airbus. Airbus has put up an assembly line because they consume all the whatever comes out from the assembly line. So unless we have this capability and the regulator is monitoring it closely, it is very difficult to rely on a third party, and that too miles away. So we don't know their culture. It is totally different. So unless we have it under our eyes, more manufacturing and oversight. So that is what is the need of the hour. Because next it could be some other component. So we don't know. So that is why we need more eyes on ground.
Okay, fair enough, Captain Amit Singh. Now let me quickly ask you, Dr. Srinivasan, what can you tell flyers out there, passengers like you and me, when they look at buying tickets, do they also check which aircraft are the ones that their flights are getting booked in?
Not really, Krishna. I mean, most of us don't even bother about what we know. And I think we take comfort that the airlines knows what they're doing. And there is a regulator and the Ministry of Civil Aviation which is taking care of it. So I think our belief or trust is on them and not really about the type of aircraft or what is happening there.
Okay. We will leave it at that. Srinivasan, thank you so much for taking time out to be with us. And of course, Captain Amit Singh, founder, Safety Matters Foundation, thank you so much for being with us here on In Your Interest. Before we wrap the show up, we have some news that's coming. Ratan Tata, the chairman emeritus of one of India's biggest conglomerates, Tata Sons, is in a critical condition and in an intensive care unit at a Mumbai hospital, according to sources. 86-year-old Ratan Tata did say on Monday that he was undergoing routine medical investigations due to his age and related medical conditions. And when there were rumors spread of him being in a critical condition, he managed to assuage those rumors, saying the fact that he was fine. But right now we are getting information that Ratan Tata is in a critical condition at Mumbai Hospital's intensive care unit. Bear in mind, his 86-year-old Ratan Tata was supposedly undergoing routine medical investigations. And with that, we've completely run out of time in this edition of In Your Interest. Thank you so much for watching. This is Krishna Kumar signing off.
Let yourself flow with the turn of each tide.
Salty winds, you sweeten your ride. Maharashtra is the hit.
Maharashtra tourism.
This is News9 Live, India's only digital exclusive live stream. For the early adopters, bringing you the news 24/7. For the smart audiences on the smartest TVs. News9 Live. Stream now on your smart TVs.
Joe Biden is not going to be the Democratic presidential nominee.
I made my choice. Kamala Harris. She's experienced. She's tough. She's capable. I took on perpetrators of all kinds, predators. So hear me when I say, I know Donald Trump's type.
I am the one saving democracy.
He has tapped into the fear and anxiety about demographic change in the US.
This polarization in the United States. Some people are even suggesting that there could be a civil war.
You are this unable to solve your own domestic problems. You have no right to claim to be anybody else in the world, and we're moving into a multipolar world where the United States will not lead.
This and more. Streaming on News9 Plus. Subscribe and get free vouchers.
Arnold then to deliver this corner, which is cleared, but only as far as Amora, who controls the return, and Vince swivels and scores. How about that for balance and reaction right over the head of Medic.
Movina. Oh, the keeper's come for it, but not got it. Jonathan Burkhardt underneath it. A terrible goalkeeping mistake, but a sixth consecutive away game goal for Jonathan Burkhardt.
Still Bayern dominate in this second half. It's Guerrero. Neat touch by Kane. Michael Olise. Olise! A wonderful goal for Bayern! And this roller coaster ride takes another twist. And less than 10 minutes into the second half, Bayern lead once more.
Towards half-time. Up but not really away. It's all a bit of a mess! Smashed in by Jorba Vertessen. His first league goal of the season. Beautifully struck. Still got lots of big targets to aim for. He's done well to get the ball in. It's only half away! A centre-forwards finish from a centre-back. Kevin Schlotterbeck with a stunner. Extraordinary hits.
Why is the state not looking at putting an embargo on that?
As a Telangana person, I will not accept.
How do ordinary folks deal with this?
It's said that out of 7 diamonds across the world, 5 are cut and polished in India.
Don't forget, US is the largest consumer of, polished diamonds and the diamond jewelry. And that has taken a big beating for multiple reasons, but largely because of the consumer spending going down on these items. And that's essentially what has hit the diamond industry.
We are at a brim where you see not just one, but multiple very strong global brands coming out of India. And we will make a global mark, and I'm convinced about that.
This and more. Streaming on News9 Plus. News is now content. Subscribe and get free vouchers.
In the heart of New York, an Indian spectacle unfolds. Step into the world of the elite saga, featuring influential Indians who've rocked the globe. From culinary geniuses,
this has been nothing less than a dream,
to the wisdom of sages.
And which is why success can never be spelt without you.
Discover the stories behind the stars. Experience the magic behind the scenes. At the first Indian event at the Statue of Liberty. Watch the Elite Saga streaming only on News9 Plus. Download now.
Hello and a very warm welcome. Thanks for tuning into News 9 Live. I'm Kabir Naqvi and you're watching the special broadcast of Game On, your one-stop destination for all things sports here on News 9 Live. Ladies and gentlemen, on the show today, it's a do or die for India's women's T20 team as they face Sri Lanka in a must-win showdown. Will they secure victory and overcome the net run rate pressure to stay in the hunt for the World Cup? Well, tune in to find out. Meanwhile, India's men's cricket team is fired up and ready to steal the series here in the national capital. Can they put the Bangladeshi Tigers to rest in the second T20 international? Well, we'll find out. But that's not all. We've also got your global football fix covered as well. Catch all the big headlines and, of course, the top 5 goals from Bundesliga's match day 6. So strap in because it's game on. Let's dive straight into the action. Well, now, India will take on Sri Lanka in what is a must-win game for them if they want to avoid depending on other teams to qualify for the knockout stage of the Women's T20 World Cup. India managed to get their campaign back on track by beating Pakistan by a margin of 6 wickets after losing to New Zealand in the tournament's opener. Now, the good news going into their Dubai match is that skipper Harmanpreet is completely fit. Harman had retired hurt in the previous game due to discomfort in her neck during India's 6-wicket win over Pakistan. India vice captain Smriti Mandhana said that skipper Harmanpreet Kaur is fit and she will be leading the side against Sri Lanka in the Women's T20 World Cup. Harmanpreet had walked off the field when she was batting on 29 runs. India won that game by 6 wickets but still face early elimination from the tournament following the loss to New Zealand in their tournament opener. However, there is still no clarity over the fitness status of all-rounder Pooja Vastrakar, who missed the Pakistan game as well. This is what Smriti Mandhana said about Harman and Pooja, both of them. Take a look, and I quote, "She, of course, talking about Harman, is doing fine and she will be fine for tomorrow. Pooja, I think the medical team is still working on her, so the update will come only tomorrow during the match. But yeah, I don't think I can say anything at the moment at this point in time." A little confident about Harman, not so confident about Pooja. Now, Smriti Mandhana, the best batter in the side, has failed to get going thus far on the slow wickets of the UAE, where stroke making has proved to be extremely tough. India have a dominant record, however, against Sri Lanka, as is the case with almost all Asian teams. They lead the head-to-head 19 games to 5 games, with both sides having faced each other for the first time in the format at the 2009 Women's T20 World Cup. However, the latest of those victories for Sri Lanka came in the last match between the two sides, which was in the final of the Women's Asia Cup in July this year itself. India had lost that match by a stunning 8 wickets as Sri Lanka ended their reign in the tournament. They are yet to play Australia, and their hopes of making the semi-finals hang by a thread. India chased down 106 runs in 18.5 overs against Pakistan, mindful of the run rate factor in the business end of the tournament. Smriti also admitted that there are concerns about the net run rate and conditions in the UAE. She said, and I quote, "It definitely was the last match, but as I said, the conditions are a lot different to what you expect as a batter, so you're probably thinking to get that run rate high, and also you firstly have to win the match first, and that's the first priority for everybody. Definitely the wicket condition, the ground conditions are a lot different to what we thought when we came here. That also is a big consideration in deciding the batting order," is what Harman had to say. Meanwhile, on a sticky wicket, after a mixed start to the campaign, India is now going to look to fix their batting woes to bolster their net run rate as well. Big match that's coming up in the T20 Women's World Cup. Meanwhile, on the other side, India's men's team will take on Bangladesh at the Arun Jaitley Stadium in New Delhi today with the determination to completely wrap up the 3-match T20 international series. India have, mind you, dominated in all departments during the first match at Gwalior, and there appears to be no threat to Suryakumar Yadav and his men to rewrite the script under the lights at Firozshah Kotla ground. Traditionally speaking, Bangladeshis have been no match to the men in blue on the Indian soil. In the 15 T20 international home games against Bangladesh, India have been winners on 14 occasions. Speaking of the team's form in this format in recent times, the hosts have won all their last 5 encounters. On the other hand, the Najmul Hussain Shanto-led side have won only 1 game out of their last 5 matches. So even without key players such as Rishabh Pant, Akshar Patel and Jasprit Bumrah, India have shown a remarkable depth in white ball cricket during the comfortable 7-wicket victory in the opening game that took place in Gwalior. Sanju Samson, who was confirmed by Surya Kumar as an opener for the series, made the most of the opportunity as regular wicketkeeper Rishabh Pant has been rested for the series. In the series opener in Gwalior, the keeper batter Sanju Samson, who usually comes in the middle order, revelled in his new role as an opener and played some delightful strokes in his 19-ball 29 runs, showcasing his ability to play freely in the power play overs. With the first choice openers Yashasvi Jaiswal and Shubman Gill rested for this series, both Samson and Abhishek Sharma would be certainly keen to prove that they can go beyond the mere cameos that you see. The duo would look to seize this opportunity here and get a big score today in front of what is likely to be a sellout crowd in the national capital. The hosts are unlikely to tinker with their playing 11 after everything went their way in the opener. However, speaking to media on the eve of the match, Arshdeep did not disclose much about the 11. He said, and I quote, take a look at this, "We will come tomorrow and assess the conditions and make plans accordingly. The coach and captain will check the wicket and tell us what the plan is going to be." That's what Arshdeep had to say. Meanwhile, debutant Mayank Yadav, he dazzled with his fiery pace as well, whilst fellow first-timer Nitish Kumar Reddy made a mark as a seam bowling all-rounder, a rarity in Indian cricket. Arshdeep Singh capably led the pace attack, and mystery spinner Varun Chakravarti made a striking comeback after staying away from the national team for almost about 3 years. The Bangladesh bowlers have the ability to spice up things, but against India's formidable lineup, they would need plenty of runs on the board to make it a concerning issue for the men in blues. Meanwhile, take a look at this. Senior batter Kane Williamson, he will miss the initial part of the upcoming 3-test series in India due to a groin strain. New Zealand have named Mark Chapman as his cover in the 17-man squad for the series, which gets underway in Bengaluru on the 16th of October. Now, Kane Williamson, who is dealing with a groin strain, will delay his departure to India, where New Zealand are slated to play 3 tests at Bengaluru, Pune and Mumbai. Take a look at what Williamson had to say. Williamson experienced groin discomfort during the second test against Sri Lanka in Gale and will require a period of rehabilitation before joining the Black Caps test squad in India, according to New Zealand Cricket Board, which said the same on their website. Now, New Zealand selector Sam Wells, he said that the decision to delay Williamson's departure to India was to give the former skipper more time to rest, and that's important to take a look at as well. The advice we've received is that the best course of action is for Kane to rest and rehabilitate now, rather than risk aggravating the groin injury. We're hopeful that if the rehabilitation goes to plan, Kane Williamson will be available for the latter part of the tour in India. While it's obviously disappointing to not have Kane Williamson available right from the start of the tour, it does provide an opportunity for someone else to play a role in an important series. Now, it's also again interesting to look at Tom Latham, who will be leading the Kiwis after Tim Southee stepped aside from the leadership role just a few days ago. Now, while the opening test will be played at M. Chinnaswamy Stadium from the 16th of October till the 20th, the second will be held at the Maharashtra Cricket Association Stadium in Gahunje in Pune from October 24th to the 28th, and the third and final test will be played at the iconic Wankhede Stadium in Mumbai from the 1st to the 5th of November. Moving on, Germany are taking their Nations League football matches quite seriously, and captain Joshua Kimmich has said that the team is using it as an opportunity to, well, bond and grow together. Germany are preparing to take on Bosnia and Herzegovina on Friday and the Netherlands on Monday then on. Germany will be missing several players for the 2 matches due to injuries, including goalkeeper Marc-Andre ter Stegen and forward Kai Havertz, whilst midfielder David Raum had to leave the training camp after also suffering an injury. Captain Joshua Kimmich said that they would be hoping the new faces in the team to have the energy and hunger to help them out. He also said that the team will try to put it together in the best possible way in the 2 games that are coming up. Germany currently lead their Nations League group in the competition on 4 points, same as the Netherlands, but have a better goal difference at this point in time. And even as we're talking about the Nations League, we must have to talk about Portugal and Cristiano Ronaldo. The marksmen and Portugal both hit the training pitch yesterday to gear up for the upcoming Nations League fixtures against Poland and Scotland respectively. Now, Cristiano Ronaldo has reunited with the Portugal national football team for the upcoming matches. Portugal's top Group A won with 6 points from the 2 matches. They're sitting quite comfortably at this point in time, and they will travel to Warsaw to face Poland on Saturday and then head to Glasgow, where they'll take on Scotland at Hampden Park on Tuesday next week. Now, midfielder João Neves, he said that they're expecting 2 tough matches and that they'll give it their best and their all to qualify for the next phase of the European competition. Portugal have won all of their UEFA Nations League matches this season. Ronaldo has completed 900 career goals, mind you, when he scored for Portugal in Nations League match against Croatia. Moving on, former Barcelona and Spain midfielder Andres Iniesta announced his retirement on Tuesday after a glittering, trophy-laden career spanning more than 2 decades, 24 years to be precise. Now, the 40-year-old was at the heart of the Spain and Barcelona midfield during a period of sustained success for both teams in the late 2000s and the early 2010s, beg your pardon. Now, please allow me to be a little emotional today, is what a tearful Iniesta said, who most recently played for Emirates club in the United Arab Emirates when he was speaking to the press at a conference. The technically gifted Iniesta made 131 appearances for Spain, scoring the only goal of the 2010 World Cup final with a last gasp strike to earn his country victory over the Netherlands as they lifted the global title for the first time. He also played a key role in the Spain national team winning the 2008 European Championship to snap a 44-year trophy drought, and was named player of the tournament when they successfully defended the title again after winning the World Cup and then again defending the title back in 2012. Iniesta joined Barcelona's La Masia Youth Academy at just 12 years old and made 674 appearances for the Spanish giant, captaining them for 3 seasons altogether. A year before becoming Spain's World Cup final hero, Andres Iniesta worked his magic in the Champions League semi-final against Chelsea as well. His brilliant shot deep in added time secured Barcelona a place in the final, and they went on to lift the trophy that year. Didier Drogba's controversial comments from the Chelsea side, if you remember. And Pep Guardiola's first European Cup triumph as a coach happened because Andres Iniesta was right there in the midfield of the Barcelona team. Iniesta won 9 La Liga titles with Barcelona, 4 Champions League titles, 6 Copa del Rey crowns, 2 UEFA Super Cups and 3 FIFA World Cup titles, many of them alongside Xavi Hernandez, a rival for the accolade of being described as the best Spanish footballer of all time. Imagine that team, Xavi and Iniesta right in the middle of your midfield team. Nothing short than a footballing dream. Listen into what Andres Iniesta had to say.
I suppose you will allow me to get emotional today. I never thought this day would come. I really never imagined it. These are tears of emotion, of pride. They are not tears of sadness. They are tears of that child from Fuensalida who had the dream of being a soccer player, and I achieved it. I would like to come back to Barca at some point in my life. I'm not just saying that, but I think the people who have spent so many years at this club, in one way or another, have to be there. But the conditions have to be right. When I feel like I can do what I did as a player in another role at the club, if the circumstances are right and everything, I'd be happy to do so.
Well, sticking to global football news, German coach Jurgen Klopp, he has been appointed as the head of the global soccer for Red Bull in his first job since leaving as the coach of Liverpool earlier this year. Now, owners of several clubs, including RB Leipzig and New York Red Bulls, Red Bull have confirmed the appointment. Now, Jurgen Klopp ended his successful 9-year stint with Liverpool at the end of last season, and he will be starting the new job on the 1st of January 2025, just next year. The 57-year-old joined Liverpool back in October 2015 and has since won the Champions League, their first English league title since 1990, the Club World Cup, FA Cup, League Cup and the Super Cup, as well as the Community Shield during his time in charge at Anfield. Now, Jurgen Klopp, who also led Dortmund to 2 Bundesliga titles, a German Cup and a Champions League final back in 2013. Of course, they lost to Bayern Munich. Arjen Robben and Frank Ribery doing the trick for Bayern Munich. He had announced in January that he would be leaving Liverpool at the end of the season. Jurgen Klopp will not be involved in the day-to-day operations of the Red Bull-owned clubs in Germany, United States, Brazil and Australia. That's also something that the company has clarified, they've come out and confirmed. But Jurgen Klopp will also support the organization's global scouting operations, another important aspect when you're talking about grassroots footballing careers, and contribute to the training and development of coaches. Some German media reported in his Red Bull contract included an exit clause for the post of German national team coach. So if the German national team does come knocking, he has an exit clause already ready. Jurgen Klopp has long been linked to that job, especially after his successful stint at Liverpool, and of course with Germany struggling right now to make an impact on the international stage in the past decade, Klopp seems to be the name everybody is looking for. Jurgen Klopp, in a statement about his new assignment, has said, and I quote, "After almost 25 years on the sideline, I could not be more excited to get involved in a project like this. The current role that he's got now with a Red Bull may have changed, but my passion for football and the people who make the game what it is has not changed at all. I see my role primarily as a mentor for the coaches and management of the Red Bull clubs, but ultimately I am one part of an organization that is unique, innovative and forward-looking. As I said, this could not excite me more." Jurgen Klopp, ladies and gentlemen, that's what he said. But sticking to football again, ladies and gentlemen, this time an interesting development. A soccer team consisting entirely of transgender men has made its debut in a regional league in Spain, overcoming administrative challenges and prejudice to become the first all-transgender squad to achieve federated status in Europe. Here's a complete report. Take a look.
This is Spain's Phoenix FC, a team consisting entirely of transgender men. Named after the mythical bird symbolizing rebirth, it's the first all-trans squad with federated status in Europe. Players say the journey here hasn't been easy. 24-year-old Hugo Martinez founded the team. He says he faced abuse when he began transitioning and was forced to leave the women's team he played on.
I was a boy playing in the girls' team, but without a changed ID. Then I couldn't play even with the boys, and they, the people on the stands, the parents, the other players, the other coaches, well, they said things that they didn't have to say. Insults, threats.
The team made its debut in the 5th tier in Spain's northwestern region of Catalonia in September, after being incorporated into a local club in a Barcelona suburb. 19-year-old Luke Ibanez is the team's captain. Ibanez jumped at the opportunity to play for an all-trans side when team founder Martinez told him about the idea.
We were afraid of playing with cis men. We thought we would not fit, or that it would be too violent. Many things passed through our minds. We did not know what to do to continue playing soccer.
La ley trans es ley.
Spain passed a pioneering transgender rights bill last year that is meant to make changing a person's legal gender identity easier. But intolerance persists. In 2023, Catalonia's Observatory Against LGBT Phobia noted 302 cases of discrimination or violence against LGBT people in the region, a record. A quarter of those cases targeted transgender victims. For its part, the Catalan FA said its men's leagues have been mixed for the past 2 seasons. That means players of any gender can play, regardless of their official identity. Players are not required to use their legal name either. That's not always the case in other regional FAs or sports. Phoenix lost its first game of the season, 19-0. But Captain Ibanez says the team's significance extends beyond the scoreboard.
Phoenix is a team of trans boys created entirely by trans boys. But I think it's more than that. A family, a safe space. A space where you can be free and express yourself however you want and how you really feel.
Well, progressive football coming out of a Barcelona suburb, and with progressive, I don't mean their playing style. Well, we're running out of time here, but we don't want you to miss out on the Bundesliga Matchday 6 top 5 goals, from stunning volleys to incredible solo runs. This week's finest moments are packed with thrilling finishes that will leave you in awe. Whether it's a last-minute rocket or a skillful strike, these goals highlight the best of Bundesliga's attacking flair. We leave you with the top 5 goals of Matchday 6. Thanks for watching. Do relive the magic and check out the top goals that defined Matchday 6 of Bundesliga. Thanks for watching.
Maximilian Arnold then to deliver this corner, which is cleared, but only as far as Amora, who controls the return, and Vinds swivels and scores. How about that for balance and reaction right over the head of Medic.
Movina. Oh, the keeper's come for it, but not got it. Jonathan Burkhardt underneath it. A terrible goalkeeping mistake, but a 6th consecutive away game goal for Jonathan Burkhardt.
Still Bayern dominate in this second half. It's Guerrero. Neat touch by Kane. Michael Olise. Olise! A wonderful goal for Bayern! And this roller coaster ride takes another twist. And less than 10 minutes into the second half, Bayern lead once more.
Towards half-time. Up but not really away. It's all a bit of a mess! Smashed in by Jorba Vertessen. His first league goal of the season. Beautifully struck. Still got lots of big targets to aim for. He's done well to get the ball in. It's only half away. A centre-forwards finish from a centre-back. Kevin Schlotterbeck with a stunner. Extraordinary hits.
So I'm Payal Nath, the CEO and Director of Kadam Heart. We're working with people, we're working with emotions, we're working with hands, we're working with nature.
We are very clear, we want to commit to livelihoods. We want to commit to the planet. We want to impact 1 million artisans, which is 1 million families minimum.
Be the change that you want to see.
This and more. Streaming on News9 plus news is now content. Subscribe and get free vouchers.
Cooking is an act of love. The first act of love we receive from our mothers in the families.
Modern Indian food is all about contemporary and innovative approach to traditional Indian cooking.
The presentation it's also important, no?
I want to wear this white coat every day and then be a chef.
There are stories. If the name of whiskey is Indri, then there is a whole story behind that.
Cooking food is like a therapy, and eating one is like a pleasure I can give it to myself. With Lounge Nights, I'm on a journey to celebrate and recognize the best food and nightlife establishments in various cities across India.
Radical presents Lounge Nights every Saturday and Sunday only on News9 Live.
brilliant Arnold then to deliver this corner, which is cleared, but only as far as Amora, who controls the return and Vinds swivels and scores. How about that for balance and reaction right over the head of Medic.
Movina. Oh, the keeper's come for it, but not got it. Jonathan Burkhardt underneath it. A terrible goalkeeping mistake, but a sixth consecutive away game goal for Jonathan Burkhardt.
Still Bayern dominate in this second half. It's Guerrero. Neat touch by Kane. Michael Olise. Olise! A wonderful goal for Bayern! And this roller coaster ride takes another twist. And less than 10 minutes into the second half, Bayern lead once more.
Towards half-time. Up but not really away. It's all a bit of a mess! Smashed in by Jorba Vertessen. His first league goal of the season. Beautifully struck. Still got lots of big targets to aim for. He's done well to get the ball in. It's only half away! A centre-forwards finish from a centre-back. Kevin Schlotterbeck with a stunner. Extraordinary hits.
For the very first time in our investigation, we unmasked the killer of Ravindra Matre.
In 5G, we have to stand with the world, and in 6G, we have to lead the world.
Winning a Grammy was an absolutely surreal experience.
जानना है तो देखिए, समझना है तो सुनिए, सीखना है तो पूछिए, और कमाना है तो खरीदिए। जानकारी, सलाह और निवेश सब एक ही सुपर ऐप पर। पैसे का सवाल है तो जवाब है Money9। आजादी पैसे की, अभी डाउनलोड करें।
How do you fulfill that promise? Because ultimately expectations have to be met. If you look at the political landscape, is it really changing for women? And what is the inability of the forces that dead bodies surface but not the living people?
Who am I?
Nobody can crack that mystery.
There is a certain expectation of me.
That's the only contradiction.
Life itself is stranger than fiction.
I was a perfectly normal person born in an abnormal world.
I really didn't understand why is it different.
Just imagine a child who is bullied every day.
Boys school में कुछ लड़का लोग मेरे साथ sexual abuse किए। मुझे तेरे बारे में सब पता है, और मैं तेरा rape कर लूँगा।
You also start to stigmatize.
अरे ये तो time pass है।
Sex doesn't come in the picture. Sex comes very late. Then there are man-made narratives.
Why do you walk like that? Why do you sway so much? So you can understand the trauma of a person who's trapped in a wrong body.
But nothing can bind life.
We have to reclaim the lost position. We fought for more than 10 years. Today I'm the mother of the industry. I'm a first transgender member judge.
You can't walk in everybody's shoes.
This is what I'm comfortable with. They just are what they are.
You become the light yourself.
That is the change that I was looking for.
When I recognize myself, it's a small story, but it's an interesting one.
Welcome to News9 Live, and you are watching On Point. We will decode the results of Haryana and Jammu and Kashmir, and this time we will not break any news. We will break the result for you. Now let's take a quick look at the headlines. Apt to go solo in Delhi shuns overconfident Congress. Ajika junior doctors go on hunger strike to demand justice, whereas senior doctors resign in Marseille. Noted industrialist Ratan Tata in critical condition. Wangchuk and supporters continue hunger strike on day 4. Congress, a factory for spreading hatred. BJP will secure a bigger victory in Maharashtra, says Prime Minister Modi. After Haryana poll shock, Congress faces Samajwadi Party's bipoll snub. Army Jawan killed by terrorists after being abducted from Anantnag forest. At least 400,000 people trapped by Israel's latest Gaza offensive, says United Nations Relief Welfare Agency. PWD seals double locks Chief Minister's house in Delhi. Now let's begin on point with Jammu and Kashmir. Jammu Kashmir result was a pleasant surprise for the Abdullahs. It marks the return of Omar Abdullah. But let me point out the biggest takeaway, because the election in Kashmir will be setting the template, because it took place after 10 years. After 10 years, abrogation of Article 370, multiple administrative and political changes, highly empowered LG. But the election results spoke a unique language. And this result will manifest in form of governance very soon. So the biggest takeaway from the JK elections are: Congress contested 32 seats and won 6 in this election. They only won 12 seats in 2014. Jammu and Kashmir has 60 Muslim and 30 Hindu dominated seats. Now, National Conference won 47 Muslim dominated seats and 3 seats were won by BJP. It means that the NC had a clean sweep with Congress. BJP won 26 Hindu dominated seats and Congress only 2. BJP's vote share jumped from 40% to 45% in Jammu between 2014 to 2024. BJP won 29 of the 43 seats in Jammu region. BJP swept majority of Hindu seats. AAP won Doda in Jammu, and it's the biggest surprise. 3 seats were won by independents. National Conference won 2 Hindu dominated seats in Jammu, Ramban and Naushera. National Conference won total of 7 seats in Jammu. Congress won an ST reserve seat from Rajouri. BJP got no seat in Kashmir Valley. National Conference and Congress aligned 41 seats out of 47 in Valley. Engineer Rashid's party was a flop. Rashid fielded 36 candidates. His party won 1 seat and 31 candidates lost their deposit. And out of them, 9 candidates got less than 1,000 votes. 10 candidates linked to Jamaat-e-Islami contested the elections. 8 of them lost their deposit. Ghulam Nabi Azad's party could not open their account. 0. PDP, regional parties, Jamaat and PDP were poor losers. I'm sorry, that has to be PDP. It went as DPAP. All former terrorists lost elections. PDP, by participating in polls, added legitimacy of elections. They lost, but their contribution is significant. The biggest takeaway, there is a split between Valley and Jammu. Both regions are behaving differently and may pose a big challenge to national conference. It is for this reason Omar spoke about Jammu, how they should not feel out of the game. Let me play out that right now.
ऐसी हुकूमत बने जो उनकी उम्मीदों पे उतर आए और उनकी उम्मीदों के मुताबिक काम कर सके. अब ये हमारी जिम्मेदारी बनती है. नेशनल कॉन्फ्रेंस, कांग्रेस, सीपीएम, हमें लोगों का ताउन हासिल हुआ है. अब हमारी जिम्मेदारी बनती है कि हम लोगों के लिए जो है काम करें और जम्मू कश्मीर को इस दलदल से निकालें. हमारे लिए अब ज़रूरी ये बन जाता है कि मरकज़ के साथ एक रिश्ता बनाएं, एक रास्ता कायम करें ताकि जम्मू कश्मीर के जो मुश्किलात हैं, मुतालबे हैं, परेशानियां जो हैं, उनको हम हल करना शुरू करें. अब कोशिश तो यही की जाएगी कि सबको मिलके हम जो है आगे बढ़ें. मुझे इस बात का एहसास है कि हमारे अलायंस में जम्मू का एक अच्छा खासा हिस्सा है जिसकी आवाज़ वहाँ होगी नहीं. अब जो हुकूमत बनती है आने वाले दिनों में, उनकी एक बहुत बड़ी जिम्मेदारी ये भी होगी कि वो जम्मू के लोगों को ये एहसास ना होने दें कि ये हुकूमत उनकी नहीं है. जम्मू के जिन बेल्ट्स ने बीजेपी की मदद की, अब बीजेपी इस हुकूमत में शामिल है नहीं, लेकिन उन लोगों को ये नहीं लगना चाहिए कि वो इस हुकूमत में शामिल नहीं है.
So can Omar bridge the chasm between Jammu and Kashmir? Why did independents and separatists perform so badly? Can Naya Kashmir narrative survive the new NC Congress Sarkar? Why did Congress perform poorly, especially in Hindu-dominated areas? Why did Rashid's fortune dip so quickly? These are the questions I'll be putting it to my experts. Ajit Kejha from Delhi and Ahmed Ali Fayaz from Kashmir. So these are the basic 5 sets of questions. So I'll first of all go to Mr. Fayaz before I get into these detailing. How big this challenge would be which Omar is talking about to take Jammu along? Because it seems that the Valley and Jammu have voted their own ways.
This is a big challenge, particularly when the elections are fought on regional and religious lines. It's bad. Unfortunately, Jammu and Kashmir is divided between two regions. Jammu region is dominated by Hindus and Kashmir region is dominated by Muslims. Political parties have been exploiting the sentiments on different things, including on regional and religious lines. The latest we saw from Mr. Ram Madhav, the BJP is in charge of campaign Jammu and Kashmir, who kept on saying in the last 5-6 days that the BJP this time is for a Jammu-centric government. This is something which is, it's not statesmanship in a state which is divided on religious lines. So if the politics is played on these lines, so ordinarily nobody should have an issue with the national conference if it now makes a Kashmir-centric government. According to me, it's wrong. Neither Mr. Ramadhav should have said it, nor anyone in the National Conference of Congress should say it. It is a positive development that Omar Abdullah has realized it in the very beginning, and he wants to take on board everybody. He has made it clear that this is the government for everybody, including those people who have not voted for us. He said it is the government of the BJP voters as much as it is the government of the National Conference and Congress voters. It is amply clear. But the facts are that National Conference has not won seats in Hindu-dominated areas, and the number of the Hindu members of Legislative Assembly is reduced to only 2,
Okay,
as you said.
So the first set of questions you're saying is going to be the biggest challenge. Mr. Jha, do you think that he will be able to take along the Jammu aspiration?
Well, Karthikeya, look, it is certainly a very tough challenge because, despite all attempts to unify India, to unify Jammu and Kashmir, clearly, if you look at the way political trends are, you have a sectarian divide here, as pointed out by Mr. Fayaz. The Muslims dominate Valley, Hindus dominate Jammu. Now, there is a bigger challenge here than just Hindu-Muslim. If you take the political parties itself, forget the number of seats, so who won what. Look at the percentage vote. The single largest party in Jammu and Kashmir today is actually the BJP. The BJP has actually got 25.6% of the vote. The National Conference has got 23.4%. The Congress 12.6%. And there is another big challenge here. Look at the others. The others perform very badly in terms of seats. But look at their percentage vote. That's the largest, 30.1%. And those are exactly what we are calling the separatists or terrorists or, Jamaat Islami. So now you have a bigger challenge here. That means larger percentage of voters in Kashmir Valley as well as in Jammu has actually voted for the others and for the BJP. So in a way, because the Abdullahs had an alliance with the Congress, therefore, in terms of seat strategy, they ended up winning most seats in an alliance.
Okay.
But mark you, that means the biggest opposition, not only in terms of numbers in the assembly, but in the mandate, among the people, is the BJP and the others.
Okay. Now the big question here is, sir, can Congress ever regain its strength in Jammu? Why did Mr. Fayaz Congress perform so badly in Jammu region? It was not able to help NC out. It lost so many seats. What was the reason?
Congress has not performed very well in the last many years. The last highest of them was in 1983 when they got 26 seats, and thereafter it was in 2002 when Ghulam Nabi Azad was in charge of the campaigning and Congress won 20 seats. Thereafter, they have never taken more than 10, 12 seats. Last time they had 12 seats, now they have come down to 6 seats. The unfortunate part is that for them is that out of 6 seats, 5 of them are in Kashmir Valley. Only one of them, that is the reserved seat of Rajouri, they got it in Jammu. The reason is that the BJP has completely demolished Congress from Jammu, particularly from Jammu Dogra heartland, which I have been referring to repeatedly, the districts Jammu, Udhampur, Samba and Katwa. These are very important districts and Congress has been completely uprooted from these districts. Now they are occasionally getting some seats from the Muslim dominated belts, that is the Pir Panchal and the Chenab Valley. There are 6 districts in Jammu. They are getting some seats from that place. Last time they got 5 seats there. This time they got only 1 seat from that's also from Rajouri district. The reason is that they have not been able to perform. They have not performed well, and one of the reasons is also that for most of the times, the Jammu and Kashmir Pradesh Congress Committee president has been from Kashmir, not from Jammu. This is also a reason. Recently, they changed it in the thick of the election campaigning. They replaced the president who was in fact from Jammu, but he was a Muslim from Banihal, Waqar Sulwani. He was replaced by Tariq Hamid Kara, who is a Kashmiri Muslim. Okay. So they have created their constituency in Kashmir, 5 seats in Kashmir this time.
Okay. So there are 2 things here, Mr. Jha. One, that the Congress is not able to perform well outside alliances. If it is an alliance, it does well. If it is an out of alliance, you have a problem. There are some exceptional states where they have done well. There were states in which they got seats like Haryana. In Lok Sabha, they got 5 seats. But the fact is that out of alliance, they are not able to do well. In this case, they contested lot of seats, but they were not able to deliver their part. Do you think that this will have a bearing in future seat sharing with other alliance partners, Mr. Jha?
Yes, yes. In fact, I was going to correct you. If we look at the 2 elections of Haryana and Jammu and Kashmir, the Congress does miserably when it is a one-to-one fight with the BJP, but the Congress also does miserably when it is an alliance with a regional party. I mean, look at its performance in Kashmir. I would call it pathetic. You know, they have done worse than in the past. And remember, the Congress has been an ally of National Conference for, you know, right, since the state started, right? But it's on a decline everywhere, and it is quite clear that it's on a decline very sharply in Jammu and Kashmir, which is going to be a problem in the future, because right now the allies are blaming the Congress for its defeat in Haryana. And also, Mr. Omar Abdullah is a gentleman. He hasn't quite said it, but he has pointed out that the Congress's performance is not up to the mark. So the problem is Congress on its own is not growing very much. It might have doubled its seats in Lok Sabha, but overall it's in power in 3 states. The BJP and its allies are in power in 20 states of India. So the Congress has a long way to go, and it is also it is failing in its dharma, I would say, towards the allies. It did not concede its allies in Haryana. It did not concede its allies, even someone like
that. I segmented this debate. That is why I segmented this debate, and I'll come to it. Mr. Fayaz, there is also one more facet which we have found out, that the independent, smaller regional parties and former terrorists who contested elections, they have lost. And the second part is, in Rashid Engineer's party, out of 36, 31 people lost their deposit, and out of those 31, 9 got less than 1,000 votes. How did this happen?
First, we have to be clear about 2 things. First, you said that these extras, the independent candidates, they all are not terrorists. There were more than 700 candidates, 873 candidates perhaps contesting, and of them I think more than 700 were independent candidates. As regards the separatists, their total number was between 10 and 15. Somebody said it openly that we are from a separatist background. There are others which are not saying it, but we know it, being residents of Kashmir, that they also come from this terrorist separatist background. As now you are asking me, why did it happen? I have been repeatedly telling you in all my programs that Engineer Rashid is a spent force. Jamaat Islam is a spent force. They are not going to win a single seat in Kashmir, and that is what exactly has happened. The reason is that the people of Kashmir realized, maybe it is because of the National Conference campaigning or the PDP campaigning, they realized it collectively from Karnal to the borders of Jammu that these people have been permitted by the BJP government to contest the elections for the purpose that they will cut away the mainstream, so-called mainstream Kashmiri vote from National Conference and PDP, and it clicked. It was absolutely clear at the time of Engineer Rashid's release from jail that he is not going to win any seats this time. You see the difference between the Lok Sabha election and the...
Okay. Now, I have a specific question to you, sir. Why did Ghulam Nabi Azad perform so poorly, his political party, specifically him, a former union minister, former chief minister? Why did he perform so badly?
First, let's be clear about it that Ghulam Nabi Azad has been a national leader. He doesn't have a locus in Jammu and Kashmir. When he came as chief minister, everybody had felt that he has been brought, some said that he has been catapulted and has been parachuted from Delhi. He has some record. He has the record of being winning an election with the highest margin of 58,000 votes in 2006 when he became the chief minister. But it was only because he became the chief minister that time. He has not contested and won many elections in Kashmir. He has not been a permanent resident of Kashmir. His constituency is not Kashmir. He has not been, for most of the times, he has not been the president of the Jammu and Kashmir Pradesh Congress Committee. So when he moved out of Congress, he did not find any constituency for him. He went to his area, that is district of Doda. But at the same time, he succeeded initially in getting a number of his colleagues, many of them within his fold, but soon they moved out one by one and he was left alone. The last one was Ghulam Muhammad Sorari with him, and lastly he also left him. I think it was not a right decision from Ghulam Nabi Azad to leave Congress and to float a regional party like DPAP.
Before I go to Ajit, the reason why Aam Aadmi Party has been able to rest Doda, is it about the candidate? One seat in Doda? Mr. Fayaz?
Yes, I believe it's not party. Many of the people in Jammu and Kashmir are not aware of the ideology of the Aam Aadmi Party. They are for a corruption-free government, but they don't believe that the Aam Aadmi Party is a model for them. It's only because of the candidate. Many of the people believed that it can be Abdul Majid Wani, who has been a former Congress leader and also minister, and with Ghulam Nabi Azad's party, but he lost the election. He has been a very influential person there, but also a victim of this anti-incumbency factor. So the Aam Aadmi Party candidate, according to the people there, he was the best choice, and nobody had imagined it. We also had not imagined.
Okay. Before I play out some important bites, Ajit, is it also because of the fact that in this transition, we have seen that the satraps have costed Congress party a lot of states, Kamal Nath, Ashok Gehlot, Bhupinder Singh Hooda, but in the case of J&K, they don't seem to have big leaders in either Jammu or Kashmir. Am I putting it correctly? Tall leaders?
You know, Mr. Fayaz would know better, but yeah, I would agree. And one reason is, well, not the tallest, but the tallest leader within Congress was Ghulam Nabi Azad, because he was the former chief minister. He left them, right? So in a way, they were left leaderless in terms of a well-known face. But you see, it's not so much the personalities as much as the fact that Congress as a party has lost its mojo in one election after another. In Lok Sabha, somehow they doubled their seats. But if you look at the performance across the country in assembly elections, they don't seem to be getting back their mojo because they are not focusing on the organizational base of the Congress party. During elections, we see they don't have a strategy at the booth level or constituency level or otherwise. They are always overconfident. That doesn't help the party. And plus, in terms of ideology right now, they seem to be doing well with the caste and the constitution, caste survey and the constitution. But that won't fetch them more seats in future assembly elections unless and until they focus on the organization, they focus on the allies, they focus on the fact that it's only if they are able to build India alliance into a national alternative can they beat the BJP. Otherwise, they are no match for the BJP. It almost looks as if, they are facing an insurmountable sort of rival, which is dominating all over the country, and the Congress is just sliding away. So I think the Congress really needs to rethink everything.
If you ask me, Ajit, for me the biggest takeaway is that they were not able to perform well in Jammu. It should worry them. The sort of Hindu consolidation which BJP has done for itself should worry the Congress party. It's a national party. It should have done reasonably well in Jammu and got some seats in Kashmir Valley also. The distribution, the equalness of the strength should have been visible. If 4 seats in Jammu, then 4 seats in Valley. 5 seats in Valley, then 5 seats in Jammu, or 6 seats in Jammu, or 6 seats in Valley. That they have strength both within the minorities and in the Hindu. This and that is going to hurt them in long run. And this division which Omar Abdullah has very keenly noted, that this message should not go out, that this administration will not represent them, will be the biggest challenge. Because in future, it might lead to the demand of trifurcation of the state. And anything is possible after abrogation of Article 370, because now it became, in the usual course, it will become a matter of meeting the aspirations of people. But then, that's a different debate. I think, a minute.
Just 30 seconds. 30 seconds. See, something that Mr. Fayaz pointed out is very important. He said that out of more than 800 plus candidates that stood, the so-called, you call them separatists, terrorists, extremists, whatever, they are very few. Most of them are independents. So when I saw that alarming figure of 30% chunk vote gone to independents, at least we feel 2 things. One good thing is that everyone is participating, and other, what Prime Minister pointed out, that it is great that the extremists have come to the election table. They are no
I would say more than extremists. I think the important part was we like her, we don't like her, but I would say the credit goes to Mehbooba Mufti. By participating, it became a total legitimate election. No mainstream party boycotted it. And I think that's the most important part. The credit goes to her. She has lost it. That's okay. In democracy, you can always make a comeback. But then this election's legitimacy was up here, and that's the most important part. And then everyone working perfectly so that no booth violence happens. I thank all of you for joining me on this debate in which we have discussed the biggest takeaway of the Kashmir election, apart from other takeaways. I leave you with a couple of reactions. But on the other side, we will decode Haryana.
जम्मू कश्मीर के चुनाव में भी सर्वाधिक सीट और सर्वाधिक वोट, सर्वाधिक सीट यानी सीट्स की संख्या में हमसे एनसी थोड़ा जरूर आगे है, बट जम्मू क्षेत्र में लगभग सभी सीट हम बीजेपी के हमारे उम्मीदवार जीते हैं। 29 सीट हम जीते हैं। यहाँ ये ऑल टाइम हाई रहा है जम्मू में, और वोट परसेंटेज में हम पूरे राज्य में हाईएस्ट रहे हैं। 25% से अधिक वोट हमने राज्य में लिया है। हमको बहुत खुशी देने वाला वोट रहा है। जहां तक सरकार बनाने की बात है, ये बात सच है कि एनसी कांग्रेस अलायंस को आज के दिन नंबर उनके पक्ष में आए हैं। हम एनसी को जरूर बधाई देंगे, और उनका पिगी बैकिंग कांग्रेस ने किया है। हालांकि कांग्रेस को जम्मू के वोटरों ने पूर्ण रूप से रिजेक्ट कर दिया, एक प्रकार से एनसी को भी रिजेक्ट किया है, बट कुल मिलाकर पूरे राज्य में उनके पास आज
This is News9 Live, India's only digital exclusive live stream. For the early adopters, bringing you the news 24/7. For the smart audiences on the smartest TVs. News9 Live. Stream now on your smart TVs.
Joe Biden is not going to be the Democratic presidential nominee.
I made my choice. Kamala Harris. She's experienced. She's tough. She's capable.
I took on perpetrators of all kinds. Predators. So hear me when I say, I know Donald Trump's type.
I am the one saving democracy.
He has tapped in to the fear and anxiety about demographic change in the US.
this polarization in the United States. Some people are even suggesting that there could be a civil war.
You are this unable to solve your own domestic problems. You have no right to claim to be anybody else in the world, and we're moving into a multipolar world where the United States will not lead.
This and more. Streaming on News9 Plus. Subscribe and get free vouchers.
Now let us talk about Haryana. It was mother of all elections. It surprised everyone, both winners and losers. And the winner and the loser in terms of party also. Now without wasting time, let's discuss what results of the election in Haryana stand for. BJP won 48 seats, 8 seats more than 2019. Congress got 37 seats, 6 more than 2019. Congress vote share increased from 28% to 39%. BJP's vote share increased from 36.7% to 39.9%. Haryana has 17 SC seats, BJP won 8 and Congress 9 seats. BJP won 18 out of 25 urban seats, Congress won 5 urban seats. Out of 65 rural seats, BJP won 30 and 32 were taken by the Congress. GT Road Belt, BJP won 15 and Congress 12 seats. The Jatland, BJP won 14 and Congress 10 seats. South Haryana, BJP won 17 seats and Congress 6 seats. Bagar Belt, Congress won 9 and BJP 3 seats. Rebel fought from 26 seats. Congress rebels directly impacted 10 seats. Some of the affected seats are Narwana, Tigaon, Gohana, Badhara, Ballabgarh, Rania, Safido, Pundri, Prithla and Meham. 6 dynasts won from BJP. Only Bhavya Bishnoi lost. And Prime Minister, since winner takes it all, summed up his victory in a way which is putting Congress in a spot. Let's listen to what Prime Minister had to say, because the BJP was lying low for 6 months.
उनको वोट बैंक के कन्वर्ट करो और वोट बैंक को मजबूत करो। कांग्रेस के एक भी नेता ने आज तक कभी नहीं कहा कि हमारे मुस्लिम भाई बहनों में कितनी जातियां होती हैं। मुस्लिम जातियों की बात आते ही कांग्रेस के नेता पर मुंह पर ताला लगाकर बैठ जाते हैं। लेकिन जब भी हिंदू समाज की बात आती है तो कांग्रेस उनकी चर्चा जाति से ही शुरू करती है। कांग्रेस की नीति है हिंदुओं की एक जाति को दूसरी जाति से लड़ाओ। कांग्रेस जानती है कि जितना हिंदू बटेगा उतना ही उसका फायदा होगा। कांग्रेस किसी भी तरीके से हिंदू समाज में आग लगाए रखना चाहती है ताकि वो उस पर राजनीतिक रोटियां सेकती रहें। भारत में जहां भी चुनाव होते हैं वहां कांग्रेस यही फॉर्मूला लागू करती है। अपना वोट बैंक पक्का करने के लिए कांग्रेस समाज में जहर घोलने के हर हथकंडे अपना रही है। कांग्रेस पूरी तरह से सांप्रदायिक और जातिवाद का चुनाव लड़ती रहती है।
So in this decoding the Haryana verdict, I'm joined by Vipin Pabi and Ajit Kejha, senior journalists, people who have covered elections. Ajit is a psephologist, he understands. But let me straight away go to Mr. Pabi. Mr. Pabi, my question to you is, now we have got the time, the distance of time is inquired for some sort of an inquiry. Do you think that the Congress lost because of over focus on Jat, where other other biradaris became upset, or factionalism at booth level and poor mismanagement, which led to difference of only 1 lakh vote. 1 lakh vote. That's the difference between BJP and Congress. 1,20,000 shayad.
Yeah, 1,20,000.
Yes. To you.
Yeah, so there was enough time now for food for thought because of yesterday's that stunning results that they came, and there are a lot of figures, a lot of statistics which are very interesting, eye openers. Maybe we did not smell the leaves. There were some writings on the wall which were not read by anyone I would say, because that includes exit polls and senior journalists and other observers and everyone, So nobody could really come out with that. Even a lot of senior people who had been in the field, they also said that they could not. But if you look back, yeah, there are a number of things, and as you correctly pointed out, it is not just 1 or 2 factors. There are a combination of factors which impacted the results, and one of the most important, as you correctly put right from the beginning, was Jat votes. Now, definitely, Congress was 100% banking on it, and they had a chief minister aspirant who was from the community, and it was very, very clear that that if Congress wins, then Huda is going to be the chief minister, and that family and Jats are going to dominate. But actually, what happened on the ground was that this actually went against them in certain things, and one of them was that the the non-Jat votes, they consolidated. They thought that again the same kind of period will come and we'll have the same one family domination, and the Jats of course will be in the dominant position.
Mr. Pabi, Parchi Karchi ki sarkar.
Well, that also reminded them. Mr. Modi reminded them, and it's a fact also because it wasn't a very clean government in that sense because of a lot of employment and job opportunities being cornered or being given away to the favorites. But the more important point, I think, relating to Jats, one was the consolidation. The other was a lot of division among the Jats. You will see that in that area only, you had the INLD with its alliance partner, and you had JJP with its alliance partner, and that of course you had Congress. So there was a division, four-part division, and that included about 7% votes which have been taken by JJP and INLD combined, plus another 7% votes or more perhaps taken by the independents. 14%, sorry. 14% votes taken by the independents. And these two Jat parties, INLD and JJP combined, together they've taken about 7%. So there was a lot of people there for the cake, so to say, in the Jat areas. And that was one of the factors perhaps all of us overlooked, that JJP or INLD will not have
Mr. Pabi, so first conclusion is, you are saying if there was a non-Jat consolidation, you are saying that even the Jats were divided. That's the fun. Do you think that another reason, is it correct to say that in last 10 years, because of factional infighting, there was no booth level and a district level management, nothing was done at the level of organization by the Congress? Is it correct? A lot of people were tweeting this today in hindsight that this was the reason.
You see, because it is correct, and it is because of the overconfidence. Congress had been always showing us the graph since 2019 they're on the decline, or after 2014 they're on the decline. In 2019 Lok Sabha election, then followed by the assembly election, and then followed by the recent Lok Sabha election. The graph of BJP had been falling, and that was perhaps a matter of overconfidence among the Congress that it is on the decline, and we are there to just win. There's nothing else that needs to be done. So they became very casual, I would say, very casual, and they did not work on the ground level, unlike the BJP, which continued with its Panna Pradhans and at booth levels, and each constituency wise they would find out how many votes, who has how many votes, which are the candidates, how these are to be managed. So that management was done by the BJP, not by the Congress at all, because they were not there. And several booths, I am told now, polling booths, did not have a Congress stand or a stall. In fact, frankly, where I went to vote, I went there and I noticed that there was a BJP stall booth. And I went and checked up my, voter number and all that for me. But on my return, I saw that there was actually a Congress booth, which I missed because there was hardly anybody there, one or two people sitting there. So that might have happened in other parts of the country, that Congress took it very, very casually, getting overconfident or mismanagement, whatever it is, that they did not have enough people to look after their polling booths.
Okay, so that's point number one. The second point is, if you look at the data, Ajit, it's not as if that Congress lost all the SC seats. Congress has SC seats. It won a lot of rural seats. The difference between BJP and Congress is 1 lakh vote. It's 1 lakh vote, and it is correct to say that the BJP has snatched victory from the jaws of defeat, because this was not a BJP election. This was a Congress election, because the vote jump of the Congress party is far bigger than Bharatiya Janata Party. So everything was like what was happening in Gujarat in 2017. There was a huge vote share jump taking place for the Congress. BJP had a substantial, but BJP's ground management was great. But there is another issue here, which is a broad issue. Do you think that the older leadership of Congress party continues to stall Rahul's decision? Kamal Nath, Ashok Gehlot, you recall Ajay Makar and Mallikarjun Kharge then had to come back, and Mallikarjun Kharge was not even the president of the party. They couldn't meet the legislators in Rajasthan, if you recall, before the Lok Sabha elections, the tamasha that happened. And now Bhupender Singh Hooda.
See, let me answer your second question first. See, it's not only that the older leadership doesn't listen to Rahul Gandhi, and obviously one reason they don't listen, because Rahul lacks experience, number one. Rahul is not in power. When Indira Gandhi and Rajiv Gandhi and Narasimha Rao was in power, the state satraps would listen. Rahul not being in power, not being able to, doesn't have control over resources. It's the state party bosses which control resources. So therefore, they don't listen to him. What is more important, they don't listen to him on the issue of getting allies from the India alliance into the fold, right? Had AAP or Akhilesh even been given 2 or 3 seats in Haryana, maybe the results would have been different. As we saw arithmetically, the AAP got almost 2%.
Are you saying, Ajit, are you saying that they should have accommodated Akhilesh, Aam Aadmi Party?
Yes. I've always argued that people don't realize it is not only mathematically 2 plus 2 makes 4, but actually if you go for an alliance, the jump in seats according to the cube law is always much more geometrically rather than arithmetically. Something difficult to explain on TV, but somehow I don't know why parties don't realize that. The other point that you made, you see, this is the first question that you asked me, very important. See, whenever Congress's vote share goes up, like in this election, by 11%, and BJP is only 3.5%, what the Congress doesn't realize that the BJP is a master in mobilizing. They just jack up the turnout rates. When you jack up the turnout rates, like in Madhya Pradesh, if you remember, the BJP jacked up the turnout rate so high in the last assembly election that they got almost 9% more vote than the Congress. When if you look at the previous election, the Congress had a little bit more percentage vote than the BJP. So what I'm saying is, this is a game that the BJP knows. What they do is, those people who had not voted earlier, ever in an election, they go and approach them and they bring them into the fold and thereby they get them. That is a master strategy that the Congress needs to learn. So it's jacking up the turnout votes. Thereby, even if the rival is getting more vote share, the BJP ends up increasing its vote share. Even if marginally, it ends up winning the election. That is very important.
Okay. Mr. Pabi, Bharatiya Janata Party, by sidelining Manohar Lal Khattar and putting Naib Singh Saini in place, and now he will be the chief minister, they have created a leadership. Whether it works or not in the next election is not an issue. But in this election, under his leadership, the mandate has come. Modi did only 4 rallies. Naib Singh will be the chief minister. You build a product. It's like you build reporters, you build, your editors and media, you build politicians. With whom Rahul Gandhi will be working after Hooda? Who are the leaders? Do you think it's Selja, who's a Rajya Sabha member, never done state politics? Or is it going to be Randeep Singh Surjewala, a Jat, who is dabbling in central politics now? Is it going to be Mr. Tawar, who's been travelling all over the place? Am I right in saying that there is a leadership vacuum now after this defeat in Haryana?
Definitely there is a leadership vacuum. As we were discussing yesterday also, Mr. Hooda is a gone case now, with his age not on his side. So he is unlikely to continue leadership of the party in the near future, or definitely for the next election. So they will have to look for leaders who have a lot of acceptability, who don't get into silos, and who have a wider appeal in the state. So I think Congress has enough time right now to prepare for the next leadership, but it will have to see so many factors. For instance, Shailaja. I mean, this is absolutely morally incorrect on her part not to campaign. Keeping away herself from the campaign, it is not a plus point which will go in her favor. She has never been active in the state, of course, never contested assembly election. But she also distanced herself from the campaign at a crucial juncture, which should not be done. And Randeep Surjewala is a quiet kind of a player. Yes, he has, he is more well known for 2 reasons. One is his father was a minister here for a long time, power minister. And then he, as a Congress spokesman, he has been there on the screens for a very long time. He is better known, but still he also was not active on the ground, except in his own constituency. Same as Shailaja went to a few of these constituencies. Randeep Surjewala also confined himself into 2 or 3 of them. Tawar, I would rule out completely, because given his background and party hopping and all that, he is not one of those people who could be there. Dipinder Hooda is another person who you cannot rule out. He is for an educated person, intelligent, sharp. So far, he had been in the shadows of his father. But at the same time, there is a possibility that he can be
let me ask this question straight. The sort of Bhajan Lal politics has been occupied by Bharatiya Janata Party. They are saying that they represent each and every caste. Even Hindutva politics is a rainbow of coalition of caste. There is no politics in India without caste. So BJP also does caste politics, but it doesn't say it. It builds around the larger rubric of Hindutva. So that's the only difference. But now they occupy the non-Jat space, which means that the Congress will have to find a Jat who is acceptable to the non-Jats. Okay. A clean face of Jat. It's a bind. Either they go into that space where Naib Singh Saini, Mr. Khattar is occupying, baithe hue wahan, or they retain this space and go for a face which is acceptable, or else this will again go to parties like INLD and JJP. It's a bind for Congress. So how do you think they will be resolving it?
Well, I think it's important for Congress to not just put all its money on one horse. They should be building a second cadre of leaders, young leaders, and then see how and what kind of acceptability is there. How are they able to mobilize people? How are they able to spread their word among people? So it is not going to be easy. Since for a long time earlier it was the 3 laws, then it was
so basically, Mr. Pabbi, you are saying that they will need to build a second line of leadership. But my question was slightly different. Ajit, my question is, ये दिक्कत नहीं है कांग्रेस के लिए. आप मेरा सवाल समझ गए ना? They can't go to that space. वो वहाँ बैठे हुए हैं. उसको तोड़ना बहुत मुश्किल है. They can't leave the Jat leadership because अगर छोड़ेंगे तो INLD और JJP चली जाएगी. तो वो जो एक acceptable Jat leader चाहिए उनको, जो जिससे बाकी लोग नाराज ना हो, खर्ची पर्ची के जिस पे तंगबा ना लगा हो. I don't want to use the word benign, but somehow who's more liked, there's a word which there was a write-up which I read, जो सुने सबकी पर चले उसकी. A leader सुने सबकी पर चले उसकी. वो उनको उस कम्युनिटी से ढूंढना पड़ेगा. Don't you think that's going to be the challenge, if not the biggest challenge?
See, as Mr. Pabbi rightly pointed out, they need to basically build up a second line of leadership, in which, of course, they should look for younger Jat leaders. In fact, he named Dipender Hooda, Surjewala and others. But I think, if you ask me, I believe the Congress should look for a future chief minister from Haryana, from the 20% Dalit voters. You see, because the Congress all over the country, look at its agenda. It's talking about caste survey, it's talking about constitution and marrying those two. And in that, if the Congress can build the fact that even if 27% Jat voters are there, we will still think of a Dalit and then marry the two communities together under, as Mr. Pabbi said, under a new set of leadership, I think it will be better for the Congress both in Haryana and in the long term. I think the Dalit voters, if they had not deserted Congress, look at the Dalit voters. When Dalit voters came to Congress in UP...
But they appointed a Dalit Chief Minister, Ajit, but the state was not delivered in Punjab.
No, I completely agree. But in Punjab, the Dalit voters, because of the Sikh factor, do not have the same kind of clout that Dalit voters have in Haryana. Remember, after the Jats, Dalits are the most important in Haryana, and there the BJP is not able to get them together. For a while, at least for the last 1 year, we have seen that the Dalit voters are migrating away from the BJP. So I would argue that the Congress should play a strategy whereby they should have an alliance of Dalits with Jat and the other community, not overplay this Jat factor too much. Because remember, one reason why other communities came together under the BJP formula was when you stress on a dominant party which is muscular, a dominant caste which is muscular, then people move away. Dalits are not muscular, right? They don't control resources.
But, more than that, I was just thinking, I think the basic difference, which is, what is the victory and defeat is boiling down, is like a organizational structure. Congress cannot continue to behave like a conglomeration of leaders or conglomeration of factions. It must reinvent itself into an organization whereby whether you sulk or do not sulk, accommodated or non-accommodated, but you work like a sort of a German football machine. When you got to give a pass, you got to give a pass. When you got to campaign, you got to campaign. When you want to play, you got to play. When you are told to kick the ball, you want to kick the ball. I think that's where the difference is boiling down to, and I think that's what Mr. Gandhi perhaps will be grappling with in future, because he's got 4.5 years, and the momentum has been lost by the Congress right now, but then momentum can be regained. BJP regained the momentum in Haryana, Congress can regain the momentum in Maharashtra. Indian democracy provides a lot of opportunities in the worst of cases. So thank you both of you for joining this program in Decoding Haryana, and in the end I leave you with the bites of 3 principal players as to what they had to say after the results.
आशीर्वाद लेने के लिए आया था मैं, और बधाई दी है। आदरणीय राजनाथ जी ने हमें संभाला है, पूरी पार्टी की उच्च लीडरशिप ने हरियाणा के अंदर जिस प्रकार से आकर के हरियाणा के लोगों को संभाला है और एक माहौल खड़ा हुआ है, ये मोदी जी की नीतियों का परिणाम है कि आज भारतीय जनता पार्टी तीसरी बार हरियाणा में सत्ता में है।
सर, इतने प्रचंड जीत की वजह क्या मानते हैं? लीडरशिप,
केंद्रीय नेतृत्व का हमारा आदरणीय मोदी जी के जो काम है, जो उन्होंने कार्य किए हैं, जो लाभ नीचे ग्राउंड के ऊपर मिल रहा है, ये सबसे बड़ा काम।
सर, कब शपथ का क्या रहेगा?
ये पार्लियामेंट्री बोर्ड तय करेगा।
आज आप रहेंगे सर?
हाँ, मैं यही नहीं, शाम तक ही है।
इंडिया गठबंधन ने जम्मू और कश्मीर में अच्छा काम किया है और सरकार बनने वाली है, और हरियाणा में कांग्रेस ने ये लड़ाई लड़ी है, वहाँ पे जो बाकी गठबंधन थे वो बन नहीं पाए थे और उनको हार का सामना करना पड़ रहा है। इतनी एंटी इनकम्बेंसी थी, हम देख रहे थे, सवाल उठाए जा रहे थे भारतीय जनता पार्टी पे, इतने इनकमिंग हो रही थी कांग्रेस पार्टी में, जिन्हें सबने राइट ऑफ कर दिया भारतीय जनता पार्टी को, फिर भी भारतीय जनता पार्टी जीत कर आई, उनके लिए बधाई का विषय है। साथ ही साथ कांग्रेस के लिए आत्मचिंतन का विषय है कि कहीं टिकट डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन में या कोऑर्डिनेशन में या नैरेटिव सेटिंग में कहीं कहाँ कमियां रह गई, वो आई एम श्योर उस पर मंथन करेंगे, विचार करेंगे और कोर्स करेक्शन होगा।
लोग एंटी इनकम्बेंसी बोलते हैं, पर प्रो इनकम्बेंसी का किसी को नहीं पता। हमारी प्रो इनकम्बेंसी थी, हमने काम किए थे, ईमानदारी से किए थे, सिस्टम को बदला था, भ्रष्टाचार दूर किया था। जिस प्रकार से लूट राज हरियाणा में चलता रहा, हमने उस पर ब्रेक लगाई। इसलिए मैंने पहले दिन से कहा कि जब सारे डिमोरलाइज्ड भी हुए थे, सारे आंकड़े हमारे खिलाफ थे, तब भी मैंने कहा कि
In the heart of New York, an Indian spectacle unfolds. Step into the world of the elite saga. Featuring influential Indians who've rocked the globe. From culinary geniuses.
This has been nothing less than a dream.
To the wisdom of sages.
And which is why success can never be spelt without you.
Discover the stories behind the stars. Experience the magic behind the scenes. At the first Indian event at the Statue of Liberty. Watch the Elite Saga streaming only on News9 Plus. Download now.
Twists and turns in the tussle at the top. In a pulsating clash between second and first, Frankfurt held Bayern to a 3-3 draw at Deutsche Bank Park. Bayern led in the 15th minute when Thomas Müller set up Min-jae Kim to sweep home after a well-executed corner routine. But Eintracht equalised just minutes later. Bundesliga top scorer Omar Mamouche showed all his quality to level it. The Eagles even went ahead in the 35th minute, Mamouche turning provider for partner in crime Ugo Ekitike's well-taken goal. However, it was then Bayern's turn for a quick reply. Deo Upamecano poking in after a scramble to level it at 2-2 just before the break. The second half saw the visitors regain control and quickly go ahead again when Michael Olise curled one in. Just when it seemed that Bayern would hold on for the win, Mamouche once again proved utterly clinical and levelled the match deep into injury time. The draw means Bayern stay top, but only on goal difference from Leipzig. Another twist in the early title race saw reigning champions Leverkusen held to a draw by Kiel, a week after the Werkself became the first team to take points off Bayern. It all started so smoothly as just 4 minutes in, Victor Boniface scored his 4th of the season. Another 4 minutes later, clever pressing by Florian Wirtz helped Jonas Hofmann double the lead against the league's leakiest defence. The hosts were sporting a special shirt to commemorate the club's 120th anniversary, but Kiel came to spoil the party. With Leverkusen seemingly cruising, a first-ever Bundesliga goal from Max Geschwil cut the lead just ahead of the break, and the visitors were hungry for more. Jeremy Frimpong conceded a penalty and already his 3rd yellow card of the season. So, Jan-Fiete Arp stepped up to score his first Bundesliga goal in 7 years. The Werkself were pushed all the way, and it ended with Kiel claiming their 2nd ever Bundesliga point away to the reigning champions. Borussia Dortmund are top of the Champions League table, but also missed the chance to keep pace in the Bundesliga title tussle. Opponents Union Berlin had the league's joint worst attack, but were gifted the chance to take the lead from the spot. And Kevin Vogt, who hadn't scored a Bundesliga goal for 10 years, ended the record longest wait for an outfield player. Dortmund are still waiting for their first away win this season, and on the stroke of half-time, Jorbe Vertessen doubled the lead to make matters worse for the Black and Yellows. The Irons came close to scoring a 3rd before Dortmund finally rallied. Nuri Sahin watched his side get painfully close before former Union fullback Julian Rierson halved the deficit. He scored against his ex-club in back-to-back seasons now, but Bull Svensson's men held firm to snatch 3 points at the Alte Försterei.
welcome to this brand new edition of Global Lens on News9 Live with me, Neha Khanna. As always, we have a packed show for you, but our top focus continues to be on the escalating tensions in the Middle East. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has issued a stark warning to Lebanon, claiming the country could face a similar fate to Gaza if it continues to allow Hezbollah to operate within its borders. His statement came as the Israeli military intensified its offensive against Hezbollah along Lebanon's southern coastline, deploying additional troops and advising civilians to evacuate the region. In a direct video addressed to the Lebanese people, Netanyahu urged them to free their country from Hezbollah's grip to avoid further destruction. He said, "You have an opportunity to save Lebanon before it falls into the abyss of a long war that will lead to destruction and suffering like we see in Gaza." The warning was clear. Unless Hezbollah is dealt with, Lebanon risks enduring the same fate as Gaza, which has seen widespread devastation due to the ongoing conflict. Netanyahu stated, "I say to you, the people of Lebanon, free your country from Hezbollah so that this war can end." The conflict between Israel and Hezbollah escalated after the group claimed responsibility for firing rockets at the Israeli port city of Haifa. This attack came after the Israeli military reported that 85 projectiles had crossed the border from Lebanon into Israel. Hezbollah, which has shown no signs of letting up, threatened to continue firing on Israeli cities and towns if Israeli strikes on Lebanese population centers persisted. Netanyahu's warning that Lebanon could turn into another Gaza comes at a time when, according to the United Nations, 25% of Lebanon is under evacuation orders from the Israeli military. According to figures from the Lebanese government, almost 182,000 people are being housed in over 900 government shelters, and more than 750 of these are at full capacity. The Israel Defense Forces have just issued a new warning to people in southern Lebanon, telling them to be careful as troops are attacking targets in the region. An IDF spokesperson said, "For your own safety, you are prohibited from returning to your homes until further notice. Anyone who heads south is putting their life in danger." Israel has already issued evacuation orders to more than 100 villages and neighborhoods across southern Lebanon, with 1/4 of Lebanese territory now under Israeli military displacement orders. Around 1.2 million people have been internally displaced in Lebanon since Israel began intense airstrikes last month. In capital Beirut, people are sleeping on the streets, beaches and the main martyr square. More than 400,000 people, most of them Syrians, have fled into neighboring Syria. Israel says it has hit 185 Hezbollah sites in the past 24 hours. During the on-the-ground fighting, an Israeli commander was killed in an exchange of fire. Israel has also said that the Haifa area in its territory has been hit by rockets again today, marking the third consecutive day of attacks on Israel's third largest city. Haifa has a population of about 250,000. It was hit on Monday for the first time in 18 years. The conflict between Israel and Hezbollah has been simmering since 7th October 2023, when Hamas launched a devastating attack on Israel, killing over 1,000 civilians. Since then, Hezbollah, a key ally of Hamas, has engaged in sporadic exchanges of fire with Israeli forces. Israel, meanwhile, has vowed to secure its northern border and protect its citizens from Hezbollah's rocket attacks. Hezbollah's leadership has faced major setbacks in recent weeks. In late September, Israel killed its leader, Hassan Nasrallah, in an airstrike on Beirut. Nasrallah had led Hezbollah since 1992 and was widely considered one of the most powerful figures in Lebanon. His death marked a blow to the group, but Israeli strikes did not stop there. In October, Israel launched another bombing campaign in Beirut, targeting Hasham Saifuddin, a senior Hezbollah figure widely believed to be Nasrallah's successor. While Hezbollah has not confirmed Saifuddin's death, Netanyahu seemed to suggest in his video address that both Nasrallah and Saifuddin had been killed. In that address, Netanyahu said Israel has degraded Hezbollah's capabilities. He said, "We took out thousands of terrorists, including longtime Hezbollah leader Hassan Nasrallah himself, and Nasrallah's replacement and his replacement's replacement," thereby suggesting that Nasrallah's multiple potential successors have been taken out. Having already targeted strongholds in southern and eastern Lebanon, Israel's latest move signal a shift towards the coastal areas, with civilians being urged to evacuate. The Israeli Defense Forces have not spared capital Beirut, with strikes targeting Hezbollah's stronghold in the southern suburbs of the city. This area is a key base of operations for Hezbollah. Israel has since dismantled Hezbollah tunnels leading into Israeli territory. Despite these crippling losses, Hezbollah remains defiant. Its deputy leader, Naim Qassem, has declared that the group's military capabilities are intact and that they are prepared for a protracted conflict. Qassem's statement came even as Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant described Hezbollah as a broken organization whose leadership had been decimated following the elimination of Hassan Nasrallah. Gallant claims that Hezbollah's command structure is in disarray and the group lacks leadership following the death of Nasrallah and other key figures. He's also described Hezbollah's firepower capabilities as significantly diminished thanks to Israel's focused military campaign. However, Hezbollah continues to maintain its presence along the Lebanese border. Israel has accused Hezbollah of using civilian areas as shields for their military operations. Hezbollah, in turn, has pointed to the heavy civilian toll in Gaza as evidence of Israel's indiscriminate use of force. Of course, this conflict is not limited to Israel and Hezbollah. The group is widely believed to be backed by Iran, which supplies it with weapons, funding and political support. Israeli forces have clashed with Iran-backed militias across the region, including in Syria and Yemen. Just this week, an Israeli airstrike in Damascus targeted a building used by Iran's Revolutionary Guards and Hezbollah, killing 7 civilians. Tehran has long been a key backer of Hezbollah. In recent weeks, however, there have been reports that Iran may be seeking a ceasefire in Lebanon, possibly as a result of Hezbollah's mounting losses. Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi visited Beirut last Friday, voicing support for a ceasefire, but insisted that any agreement would have to be backed by Hezbollah. More than 2,000 people have been killed across Lebanon in the past year. A country already exhausted by years of crises is now under even more pressure. In a significant shift in stance, Hezbollah is no longer demanding a truce in Gaza as a condition for reaching a ceasefire in Lebanon, rowing back from an oft-repeated promise to keep fighting until Israel halts its offensive against Hamas. Even as Netanyahu warns Lebanon of destruction like Gaza and tells the Lebanese people to free their country from Hezbollah, is it that simple? There is a long history of Israeli violence in Lebanon, and resentment and suspicion run deep. And no matter the scale of the damage that Israel manages to inflict on Hezbollah, the group will not be entirely destroyed, say experts. In Lebanon, Hezbollah is more than a militia. It's a political party with representation in the Lebanese parliament and a social movement with significant support. Experts say Israel may be able to weaken the group, but its ideology will persist as it did after wars of the past. In the long term, there is a real risk that Hezbollah supporters, feeling humiliated, may become more radicalized and isolated. This could exacerbate tensions in Lebanon, which endured a civil war between 1975 and 1990. For many Lebanese people listening to the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's speech last night, the threat is clear and the options are both extremely grim. Either face the fate of Gaza or be drawn into civil war. The idea of the Lebanese rising up against Hezbollah is recurrent in speeches made by Israeli leaders. It plays on the deep divisions in the country between pro- and anti-Hezbollah groups. But even for the harshest opponents of Hezbollah internally, such calls seem ominous. What does rising against Hezbollah really mean? There are many groups who publicly and ferociously oppose Hezbollah. This is part of the ongoing political debate in Lebanon. But for people opposed to Hezbollah, to take any action against the group can only mean bloody confrontations between the people of the same country. This translates into yet another civil war for a country that is still reeling from the last one, which, as we said, lasted for 15 years between 1975 and 1990. For many in Lebanon today, hearing Netanyahu's speech, the choices are between the worst and the worst. So what are we likely to see next? Is there going to be a ceasefire anytime soon? From an Israeli perspective, there is no incentive for a ceasefire. Its campaign has been extremely successful in degrading Hezbollah, and it is very likely that Israeli military officials believe it is time to continue and expand this offensive, not to stop. Meanwhile, an Israeli airstrike targeted a residential building in the Meza suburb west of the Syrian capital Damascus, killing 7 civilians, including women and children, and injuring 11 others. Israel has been carrying out strikes against Iran-linked targets in Syria for years, but has ramped up such raids since last year's October 7 attacks by Hamas on Israeli territory. And let's not forget, the Gaza war has gone on for a year now. Fighting continues in Gaza, including in Jabalia in the north, where Israeli tanks and troops are carrying out a ground operation. The Hamas-run health ministry in Gaza says more than 42,000 Palestinians have been killed in Israel's military offensive since it began a year ago. Israel has issued evacuation order to people in northern Gaza, but the United Nations says 400,000 people are trapped there, where there is no end to hell and hunger is spreading. The humanitarian crisis in Gaza is dire, with nearly all of the 2.4 million residents displaced at least once due to the ongoing Israeli bombardment. And then there is this fear over what Israel may do next in retaliation for the Iranian missile attack on its territory. It is expected that US President Joe Biden will speak to Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu tonight, as Washington appears to be trying to limit Israel's response to Iran's missile attack last week. The Middle East has been on edge since the attack, in which Iran fired nearly 200 ballistic missiles at Israel. While the US has defended the right of its close ally Israel to retaliate, it's also sent the message that Israel should not hit Iran's nuclear or oil production sites. It is understood that President Biden and Prime Minister Netanyahu haven't spoken directly for several weeks, with suggestions that the two leaders' relationship has become increasingly testy and mistrustful. Differences have emerged over Israel's conduct of its year-long war against Hamas in Gaza, and there appear to be growing concerns in Washington that fighting against Hezbollah in Lebanon may also turn out to be wider in scale and more prolonged than expected.
Smoke rose over Lebanon on Wednesday as the cross-border conflict between Hezbollah militants and Israel continued. Sirens sounded as Israel's overnight airstrikes on Lebanon's Beirut reduced some buildings to rubble, while explosions rang out in a southern Lebanese town. Meanwhile, Hezbollah said it targeted Israeli troops near the border with artillery shells and rockets. The Iran-backed movement, which had been launching rockets against Israel in solidarity with Gaza, said it pushed Israeli troops back and managed to prevent them from holding territory in Lebanon. The conflict has escalated dramatically in recent weeks. Israel has carried out a series of assassinations of top Hezbollah leaders, and after launching ground operations, Israeli troops are now clashing with militants on the ground. It's raised fears that both Iran and Israel's superpower ally, the US, could be sucked into the conflict. Israel's bombardment of Lebanon has killed more than 2,100 people, most of them in the last 2 weeks. It has forced 1.2 million people from their homes. Israel says it has no choice but to strike Hezbollah so that tens of thousands of Israelis can return to homes they fled under rocket fire.
This is a message to the people of Lebanon. Do you remember when your country was called the Pearl of the Middle East? I do. So what happened to Lebanon? A gang of tyrants and terrorists destroyed it. That's what happened. Lebanon was once known for its tolerance, for its beauty. Today, it's a place of chaos, a place of war. Israel withdrew from Lebanon 25 years ago. But the country that actually conquered Lebanon is not Israel, it's Iran. Iran, which finances and arms Hezbollah to serve Iran's interests at Lebanon's expense. Hezbollah has turned Lebanon into a stockpile of ammunition and weapons and a forward Iranian military base. Just one day after the October 7th massacre a year ago, Hezbollah joined the war against Israel. It launched an unprovoked attack on our cities and on our citizens. It has since fired over 8,000 missiles at Israel, killing civilians without distinctions, Jews, Christians, Muslims, and Druze. Israel has decided to put an end to this. We've decided to do whatever is necessary to return our people safely to their homes. Israel has a right to defend itself. Israel also has a right to win, and Israel will win. We've degraded Hezbollah's capabilities. We took out thousands of terrorists, including Nasrallah himself, and Nasrallah's replacement, and the replacement of his replacement. Today, Hezbollah is weaker than it's been for many, many years. Now you, the Lebanese people, you stand at a significant crossroads. It is your...
We are on the verge of an all-out war in Lebanon with already devastating consequences. But there is still time to stop. The sovereignty and territorial integrity of all countries must be respected. And members of our own peacekeeping force in Lebanon, UNIFIL, continue to carry out their mandates to the extent possible. The mission relies on full compliance by all parties. And I want again to express my gratitude and admiration to our peacekeepers and troop-contributing countries. The men and women of UNIFIL are serving in what is today the most challenging environment for peacekeepers anywhere. All actors must ensure their safety and security, and we must do far more on the humanitarian front. The $426 million humanitarian aid appeal for Lebanon is only 12% funded. I urge donors to step up. Dear ladies and gentlemen of the media, the conflict in the Middle East is getting worse by the hour, and our warnings about the horrific impacts of escalation keep coming to pass.
All right, let's take this straight across to